Hi, my name is Ben Lewis. It's been almost a week since my ill-fated paragliding flight in Bzirský, India. I'm sharing my story in the hopes that it can be a cautionary tale for others not to make the same mistakes. I think the previous few weeks of flying around Bzirský with these large threatening clouds, actually ending up being fairly benign, lulled me into a state of overconfidence. I ignored multiple clear warning signs on the day that I was in trouble. By the time I reacted, it was too late to effectively change my heading.
Well, it started raining and I'm going up, and man, it is getting turbulent. Time to get the f*** out of here.
The storm was incredibly violent, and I lost all control of my glider. I blacked out somewhere near the top of my climb. The forces were so great, I wasn't able to sit forward in my harness and ultimately just hung there, arched and resigned. I thought about trying to cut my lines with my hook knife, but my hands were too cold. I thought about throwing my reserve, but I didn't think it would help. I was really just quite sure I was going to die. I was surprised to wake up hanging in the trees about a meter off the ground. It was hailing and my hands were frozen. My vision was very poor. My left eye was essentially blind. I had injured the cornea, either from frostbite or from hail. I'm not sure. I couldn't even see my iPhone with it. My left eardrum was ruptured. I had bitten deep into my tongue. I just had lots and lots of upper back and neck muscle aches and pains. I pulled out my quick pack tarp that was available to me, and I just sat there breathing on my hands under the hailstorm for about 30 minutes or so. The hail turned to rain and then stopped. And then I made a decision that I needed to get going. Getting out of my harness and then clawing my way down the jungle river valley and finally scaling the ravine wall to reach a place where I had cell reception all before nightfall was the most agonizing 2 hours of my life. I was able to contact my friends, who then helped organize a rescue. A local family came and found me on the hillside in the dark and guided me to their house. Literally holding my hand as my vision was essentially nil in the night, where they warmed up my hands and feet by rubbing hot water and oil on them, caringly plucked out all the splinters and plant spines that had accumulated, and gave me warm milk. I was so touched by their concern and generosity, and they refused any offers of payment. My awesome friends showed up to the house a while later with dry clothes, and we hiked down to the waiting taxi after a tearful farewell with the family. Yeah, I feel just so incredibly lucky to be alive and thankful for everyone involved in rescuing me. All I can hope for is that other pilots hearing this learn from my mistakes and give clouds and storms the proper respect they deserve.
Would you be flying anywhere near this Cumulonimbus cloud? How is it possible for so many pilots to get caught off guard and narrowly escape the cloud suck that got Ben? Well, this is what it looks like when flying on the ridge at Bzirský. When the moist air is drawn up the slopes, it condenses at the same level. We call this cloud base. And we say, see you at base, because it's a cool thing to do when you're talking about a lone cumulus cloud with terrain clearance. But here on the ridge, the cloud is becoming something else. This is also orographic cloud, caused by the lifting of the air as it is drawn in towards the mountain region and is forced up by the terrain. The cloud base is continuous and widespread. The big risk to all aviators is losing visibility and then flying into the hidden terrain. It's a cloud with a hard bit inside it. The danger of flying so deep under the orographic cloud is this. If you fly into a thermal and get lifted into the cloud, you have to fly for a long time to reach the clear air out in front. It's easy to become disoriented, and instruments can be unreliable. So it's best to move out early so that the visible edge of the cloud is no less than 45 degrees off the horizon. But once you're out here, you might find that the lift is too weak to sustain you. So it's tempting to go way back onto the ridge again. This is what many pilots were doing that morning as they moved west to push their turn point out as far as possible. Ben went a little further than the rest. You know why. It's what we do as pilots. Part of the joy of this sport is challenging yourself to achieve amazing flights, using the others as a yardstick to judge what is possible. Sometimes you reach a little too far and miss the climbs and get left behind. This is when a performance goal can become dangerous, because you're drawn to find the fastest way to achieve the goal, which is flying deep in the strongest lift, where the true risk of this situation is easy to miss. Embedded cumulonimbus. From this position near cloud base, it's impossible to see what is building above you. As the day progresses and the sun heats the ground, there is more warm air to cause convection. So there might be a large cumulus structure growing somewhere ahead, and all you'd see might be a concave undulation in the cloud base. It's only when you emerge from under the cloud layer with rain spots on your camera that you can see the vertical scale of the cloud. A large cell can produce a lot of cloud suck and draw in surrounding air. So it can take a long time for you to escape it. But by flying in one direction, you give yourself the best chance, especially once inside the cloud where the air movement is mostly vertical. Was there anything on the weather forecast that could have warned pilots what was coming? The winds seem light, with a good amount of surface heating in the plains to feed the thermals. The SKU-T prediction suggests some cumulus clouds will form above 4,000 meters and will be of limited size. Other forecasts had called out the normal risk of thunderstorms in the afternoon, but pilots had grown accustomed to ignoring the warning because it hadn't materialized in the past week of seemingly similar conditions. There's a strong region of convergence indicated above the ridge Ben flew along, which is a good thing for flying big distance. But this model isn't flagging up the thunderstorm risk at all, just showing that high cumulus. But the information is right there. You just need to know where to look for it. Take a look at that SKU-T again. It's showing a lot of moisture at altitude, which could provide fuel for explosive growth. But down at the bottom, it's obviously got the moisture content wrong, because we're seeing clouds forming at 2,500 meters. So when you see this unexpected low cloud base, you must overlay that on the forecast model. When the red dots of the rising thermals pass through the condensation level, they will switch over to the saturated lapse rate shown by the blue dots and go up to the heavens. A good flying day would have an inversion layer of warm air aloft to cap the development. But this day is unrestricted, and we can see the cloud engine working down at 2,500 meters. So it's just a matter of time before this day blows up. Ben could have been drawn up a lot further. He was lucky to have been hailed out of the lift. This is not the right day to be playing under the orographic blanket.
Yeah, thank you for listening and safe flying, everyone.
Thank you, Ben, for sharing your story so openly with the piloting community, so we can all learn from the situation. If you've got an exciting clip of your own you'd like me to debrief, please use my upload form. You can learn more about this situation in my interview with Ben on flywithgreg.com, where we discuss what it really looked like from his perspective, his options, and the smart exit strategy. Members also currently get access to the entire flying weather course, where you can learn to judge the risks from the air and become a pro at forecasting good flying days. There's a special backdoor for my YouTube subscribers. Just use the link to take a free test flight with me. The way this sky blew up is entirely predictable, and developing your understanding of the skew-T method can be useful in all your flying. Let me show you exactly how the cloud engine works.